Yo ho everybody, the Puka here, and welcome to the making of HermitCraft Dream No More. In this video, I will be showing you everything that I did to make this movie possible. My hope is that by showing you everything that I did behind the scenes, that I might be able to watch a video like Dream No More made by you. We are going to start with the simplest of Minecraft machinima recording techniques and the various mods that were used in this video. Before we get started, I'm going to show you the different sections of this video that we're going to be covering. If you so choose, you can click on one of these signs in order to fast forward to different sections of this video. We're going to start with Fraps and Minecraft, MC Edit or Minecraft Edit, the camera mod, YouGoCraft, and NPC mod or non-player character mod. In any machinima at all, you'll have to have a video recording program. The program that I use is Fraps. Fraps is very convenient for just recording inside a certain window. It works well with Minecraft, and the settings I normally use are 60 frames per second and full size. This is so that if I want to slow down a video, 60 frames per second will be fine because I'll be rendering the video at 30 frames per second so that it looks smooth whether I speed it up or slow it down. These are the only two functions of Fraps that I ever worry about when recording movies. So let's head on to Minecraft and its little functions that it has. There's a couple things built right into Minecraft that will help you record your machinimas. Now, I'm not going to be your art teacher and tell you exactly when you should use these things and when you shouldn't, but I'm just going to go over what they are. The first thing that most people know is the F1 button. This will get rid of the nameplates over any NPC heads, as well as your action bar down there. So F1, and they're all gone away. But what this also can do is it can get rid of a dark glow around your screen. You'll see this dark glow whenever you're inside of a cave or you're in the end. It'll be around the outer edges of the video, or actually when you go into the water. As you can see here, there's no film on it, but if I hit F1 now, there is this faint glow right around the edges that's darker than the rest and in the center. So that gets rid of that. The next little guy that I want to talk about that's built right into Minecraft is the F5 button. You hit F5 and the camera goes behind your head. You hit F5 again and it goes in front of your face. This camera is good for keeping the attention on the subject that's in the center of the frame. I sparingly used this in the Dream No More movie. Once when Generic B, the evil Generic B, was going upwards through the portal into the dream world, and again when the Puka was looking down towards his hand to see that he has a beacon in it. The next little guy I want to talk about is the F8 button. Ping! The F8 button affects the camera and how it moves. As you can see, my camera is moving around just fine, and it works great for playing Minecraft. I place down a block, camera moves exactly where I want it to go so that I can play the game. The F8 button destroys that completely. So here I am moving around just fine, and then I hit F8 and I become drunk. It's just like, oh, slur to the right, slur to the left. But this is good for smooth camera movements. Say one person is talking here, and then you pan over to the right, and it's good for those smooth camera movements. Say someone's running across the field, go over the left. Now the camera movement works as such. I can push hard on the camera to the right, let go of the mouse completely, and it keeps on moving until it slowly stops. It has a little bit of inertia to it. So it is a good, smooth camera, but definitely something that you don't want to use for gameplay. I think Mojang put it in there specifically for those people that want to record Minecraft movies.
Remember, all those you ever couldn't sleep. Remember the dream? I haven't.
So now we are done with the simple things of Fraps and Minecraft. Most of you people know about this, so let's just go ahead and knock that guy out, and let's move into something a little bit more complicated, and something that I played with for a very long time, called MC Edit. So I believe that if you're going to do a large-scale machinima, that MC Edit is not only a useful tool, but it is an extremely necessary tool. So what we have here is something that's just simply delete chunk MC Edit. This is for the little transition that I did when Jeff the Minion decides to toss all of the HermitCrafters into a nightmare realm, and spawn is just kind of taken away from underneath their feet. So basically all I did was select a certain area and do a delete. Clunk. Not that button. Delete. And the chunk was deleted. Let's undo that. There we go. So it is good for those things when you just want to get rid of certain sections, or if you want to copy certain sections. And thankfully, MC Edit is good with mods, other types of mods, because YouGoCraft is one of those things where it has a lot of complex stuff built into it. It turns things into entities. I'm not going too much into YouGoCraft, but MC Edit can take those YouGo blocks and copy and paste them. It can also take NPC mods, copy and paste those, and it could probably do a lot of things with different mods, because all it needs is the block data or the entity data, and it can copy and paste it wherever you want to. So it's a very, very, very good tool. I have only scratched a couple things on the surface of what it can possibly do. So go check it out. Definitely play around with it though, to do what you want. However, MC Edit is one of those things that I used for transitioning between one clip and another clip, and especially with this guy right here, I did a pan out, but I also had the regular spawn transition into the new spawn very smoothly, without any odd jumps or jitters in the camera. Now let me show you the old way that I used to do this in one of my older videos. A while ago, I made this movie called Join the Pile. It was gonna look like I was gonna play a single player of Seth Bling's Pile of Bodies, but it turned into something creepy. Go ahead and click the video so that I don't spoil the surprise for you, but we're going to skip ahead and I'm gonna show you how I used only MC Edit and Minecraft in order to do this type of transition, and its implications into Dream No More. Now, in a second here in the bottom right hand corner, you're going to see Seth Bling's hand is in the normal position, right there. His hand is in the normal position, so he's still flat. But right about here, wham, right there is the transition. Let me go back and show you the type of transition. Oop, it was there. Let me pause it. Right there. Right around the edges, it got a little bit dark. And right here is where it's light. So it goes from a light to dark. Right there. That is the transition between the original map and the map. Now let me show you exactly how I did that. So we're going to jump right into this map here. Right now we're inside the map and we have op powers on. Grab some wool right here and make a tower upwards. And make sure that clouds are off. Clouds are one of the biggest pains in my sides ever when I'm doing transitions between one to the other. So, oh, also the sun is, so time set 3000. Make sure that guy is nice high in the sky, not my camera view. Alright, so we're like, Seth Bling, pile of bodies. Look over this direction, let go of the mouse completely so that it's still. Hit escape, and then move the mouse to save and quit. And now let's jump into MC Edit. Alright, now we are in MC Edit, and we are actually looking in the same angle that we did when we logged out of the game. And that's what we actually want to keep. The old way I did this, I just want to show you the old way, is I would take different versions of the games whenever I did a transition. So I would have a transition 1 and a transition 1.5, and then that way if I messed up my lines or the camera angle jittered a bit, I would be able to go back to that same map. It was a pretty tedious process having to stop and go to a different map every time I wanted to change the transitions, but it got the job done. And it is one of the things that one of the principles that I used for making Dream No More is these type of transitions. So, moving down, grabbing a bit of Seth Bling here. Let's see if we can get rid of Notch. Nope, we're gonna get a bit of Notch in here, so, oops. Oh, alright, we're gonna get a bit of Jeb too. So, grab this, cut that out, and then paste it back in. Right about there. Roll and nudge it forward. There we go. Backwards a bit. And upwards. There we go. Right about there. That'll look good. And import. There we go. And save the game. Saving all chunks. All is good. Alright, now let's jump right back in. Now what I'm going to make sure that I do when I get into the game is not touch the mouse. At all. Not touching the mouse. Alright, now we have the same camera angle as we did before. We're looking downwards, and then we can wait for everything to load in. I think everything's loaded in, both in front of me and behind me. So now I can start my lines like, oh, okay, let's take a look in Seth Bling's head behind me. Oh my gosh, he moved! So, that is the type of thing that I did. Between one transition to another, I would use MC Edit for one pass and then use MC Edit again for another pass. So that way I would have smooth transitions between one clip and another. That is that Elmo looking guy. So we're gonna start with Seth over here. Wow. Oh gosh, Seth. Wow, that is. Now we're not done with MC Edit as a program right now, but we're gonna combine MC Edit with the other mods in order to do something a little bit more complex and something that looks extremely cool. So with that, we're going to take MC Edit and combine that with the camera mod. So the camera mod is something that uses key points in order to set a camera onto a rail system. Right now I have it set up for third-person view, and I have just put down 5 points and I have it auto-spline. That was a lot of technical jargon, but let me show you what I did. That's not the right command. Camera start 1 minute. And now I just have this camera wandering around me for about 1 minute of those 5 points. This is going to be set onto a rails, and every time that I bring up this camera, it's going to go across those same points exactly the same way. And this is great for something if you want to do retakes, or if you want to do cam start 1 hour, and it will creep really slowly. And let me speed that up a little bit. Cam start 15 minutes. 15 minutes. There you go. You can see it just moving very slowly now, and something that you could use for like time lapses or something like that. But I've used it in a completely different fashion, which I will get into in this portion of the video. This is the point where we combine both MC Edit and the Minecraft camera mod. What I have here is cam load spawn 1, and it will load an entire camera for me that I have preset. And there's about, let's see here, I think there's about 77 points in this, or I forget how many. But anyways, cam start 30 seconds. And it will take me through this path that I have preset. In the first, I set it into the built-up spawn village of HermitCraft, so that I can pan out how the things are actually going to appear onto the map. You might recognize this from the beginning of Dream No More. Everything pops up there, spin around, the tree pops up, comes down a little bit, and then the melon farms pop in. And done. That was the camera movement. Now let's pop over to something else. So right now, it may look like I'm in a completely different map, but this is the untainted original seed of the HermitCraft server. Their secret server number is, seed number is 4. Just put 4 into the seed and you get this. Although with 1.7 you probably won't get this. However, I have this map and I can do this, which is cam load spawn 1, and you might recall that I used that same camera pan for going through the spawn village. Now, if I use that same thing on an empty map where they haven't built anything yet, cam start same speed, I will go through the same movements but on a blank map. So that way I can take what was from the spawn village and MC edit in little bits of their town at a time, but I can also take that same technique that I used from just using MC edit in the pile of bodies in this fashion, because the camera is repeatable. Let me bring this down to a little bit simpler form. Let's say that I want to put in a block right there, but I want to make it appear. So let us do this. Cam clear. Let's clear everything off the board, and we are going to do a position here, and we are going to do a position here, and we are going to do a position here. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video. So we are going to take cam start. We are going to start the camera at, let's say, 15 seconds. 15 seconds and recording now. And we will pan through the entire 15 seconds here. And we will make a block appear in the middle there. Okay, now that the camera is done, we are going to place the block there, and we are going to go through the same camera movements right here, the entire pass, although you'll see Puka moving a little bit. Not quite intentional, but we're going to cut that in there, and we're going to be here in my editing program where I'm just now editing the video you're watching. I use Power Director, Cyberlink Power Director 11. And so what we're going to do is I've already copied in these two portions of the clip. Here, let me play this guy. Now, and we will pan through. And that is the 15 seconds worth of that clip. We're going to actually go along this point right here, and we're going to cut it right about here. Let's see. I'm going to cut it right about there, so it's a little bit easier. There. Yeah, right there. Because I want to see if I can match it up with this little corner right there. So, split that, delete that, remove leaf gap, and then jump over to the other section where the block has appeared, And I'm going to look for that little corner right there. And I'm going to go frame by frame. And I'm going to split it right there. Remove leave gap. Come back over to here. And see how these two guys look together. So moving forward, forward. Yep, there we go. And let's see here. Mute clip. And mute clip. And then movie, play. And that block will just simply appear. So all I have to do is, if I had some music along with that, I could have that block appear as I would want it to. Say the beat hits now. There you go. And that's how I did most of the movie. Alright, moving down the list of the video, we're going to go from the camera mod and head down to one of the most artistic mods, I believe, in my opinion, is the YouGoCraft. Alright everybody, I've loaded up the Dream World map. You guys might recognize this from the movie, but if not, let me change that up for you and make it look a little bit more like the Dream World in the movie. And set it for render distance tiny. And back to game, and there we go. I absolutely love this type of effect where things are just beyond in this little fog somewhere. So what's with all these blocks floating around us in the sky? How does this happen? Well, it's done by YouGoCraft, or specifically the rotational block. Right now they're as entities, so I can't interact with them, but after flipping the switch, these blocks are going to set back into their original position, and I can interact with them if I want to. But I have this guy set up very carefully, and there's a lot of complex stuff happening right here. So let's get into the simple stuff of how I use this mod. Right here I have the rotational guy, and he just basically takes blocks and he rotates them. So I put a redstone signal right next to the YouGoCraft thing, because all of YouGoCraft is simply done with redstone. That's all it is. Just tell it to turn on, and you tell it to turn off, and it will go back to the off position, and that's how this YouGo thing works. There's other things like it can slide blocks, it can corner slide blocks, it can stop it at certain positions, marker block, on block, off block. It may seem a little bit complicated, but it is as simple as redstone. But of course, if you find redstone complicated, anywho, let's put down this guy right here, and let's put down a couple of marker blocks here. The off block here and the on block here, and let's turn this guy on, and it turns to the on position, off position, on position, off position. That's how this YouGoCraft thing works. / time set 0. Get it back into daytime here. So what I did for the entire movie is when I wanted to move a block arbitrarily or weirdly or something like that, I loved using YouGoCraft because it took the vanilla look that HermitCraft had and was able to give it a different type of style, but it still had that vanilla feel to it. So I wasn't losing these blocks here, but I was just adding more to it. These guys up here, if you follow along with me, actually have these things here called transition plates and reception plates. So right down here I have a block that has a transmission plate, and it feeds right into this guy that has a reception plate right up there. And I just put those on the blocks in order to feed one to the other. So let me show you how. Let me turn this guy on. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And it will move all those guys. I basically have a reception plate from here, from there to here. Transmission, reception, transmission, reception. Everywhere you see a gap in here, there's a transmission plate and a reception plate. Let's bring this down a little bit. Basically, this guy will rotate this block down here, but it will not move that guy up there. However, if I take this transmission plate and place it on top of this guy here, and take a reception plate, something that's actually going to receive the signal from this block and transmit it into this block, I will get both blocks moving at the same time, and I can fit straight through it. So that is how the YouGoCraft thing works, and I can hide all the redstone and stuff right underneath here, so it looks like this block is just rotating by itself. So that is the fun thing. Also, let me stop that really quickly. That is how I did the Jeff the Minion Emerald block. I basically turned up the acceleration to its max possible, and then I just turned on the block, and it spins like crazy. Meow. And these guys, I used you know, the rotation and the slide blocks in different positions and different angles in order to do what I wanted to do. That is the YouGoCraft. Let me show you some other things that didn't get a lot of screen time that I definitely want to show you guys. So now we have all of these YouGoCraft things working on a kind of pendulum. So you can set these to accelerate and decelerate as you want to when the power is turned on and when the power is turned off, so that way it actually functions. And actually you can ride these things, albeit it's a little bit glitchy. So it's not that great for an adventure map if you want to do things like so. But I'm actually on 1.5, so who knows, maybe YouGoCraft has updated themselves good enough for 1.7. So, showing you around a little bit more of the YouGoCraft places that I've used it in. Unfortunately, this is one of the creepiest things I have ever designed, is this floating generic bee head, and really this really takes the cake on creepiness. And here, let me show you this guy. This head just kind of barrels down the hallway, just like, "Rah, I will get you, Puka." No. One of the things that didn't get a lot of screen time of the YouGoCraft was Biffa's shifting floors. This guy took a while to build, but and I'm kind of pleased with the effect. But here, let me show you this guy just to, but it's nice how everything just kind of falls together when you build something in YouGoCraft. But this is actually comes to the point where YouGoCraft actually runs into its limitations. As you can see, it's glitching out here and there, and it actually relies a lot on the redstone signal. So as you come down to this point, the redstone signal kind of just stops. So at this point, there are far too many blocks that are moving. YouGoCraft and Minecraft are actually overwhelming each other, and it just does not turn into the greatest thing ever. So this is as much of YouGoCraft that you can do. Sometimes you just run into its limitations. So now this is the most complicated thing that I have ever built with YouGoCraft. It has transmitter plates, and it has reception plates. Where is it? There's the reception plate. And it's a cube that will break itself and reconstruct itself on a flip of the switch. And it all has to be timed perfectly so that they can all come back together. Because if YouGoCraft has a single block in the way, it'll just stop doing what it's doing, and you've got to reset it, and it's a little funky. So let me see here if I can actually time this right. Cam load Jeff 1, and then cam. Let me see if I'm on third person. Third person is on. All right. Cam start 15 seconds, 13 seconds, whatever. Cam stop. All right. And let us go into cam start and ooh, wait, that's right. Flip the switch, hit the command, 13 seconds, and the place explodes. Wow. So that was how I did all of that, making the cube explode, and come on, fly. Making the cube explode as I wanted it to, and if the camera didn't do what I wanted it to, or I need to do its second pass, let's see here, turn that guy invisible. There we go. Now the sword is just kind of floating there. And flip, and everything should come right back together. There it goes. Because this guy needs to hit in before this guy comes in, but this guy needs to come out first before that guy, so a bunch of timing with the redstone signal, so now it is all back together. And I can redo the thing all over again. Ba-da-ba! That is awesome. Cam stop. Alright. So that is the YouGoCraft mod with a lot of artistic potential in there. Alright, we are out of YouGoCraft and we are going to go to the last mod of this video, which is the NPC mod. The NPC mod, as I used it in HermitCraft Dream No More, were basically all the actors if there was more than one person on the screen. I would basically put down one of these guys and I would tell it to do one thing, and that would be my entire cast. That would be my crew that I would work with. And basically the NPC mod just allows you to put in these non-player characters, or NPC. And there's a variety of things in here. Fortunately, all I used was the Steve mod. So, but what we have here is, like, we have an elf, we have a naga, a dwarf, we have a furry, we have a different version of a furry, which is apparently a reaper. We have weird things like dragons, crystals, and ponies. But yep, the only thing I ever used out of all of this stuff is Steve. Hi Steve, how you doing, Steve? And basically, all I did was download the skin and put it into the mod so that I could be like, hey, I want to have the Biffa skin for this guy. There you go, there's Biffa's skin. Hi Biffa. Or I would go in here and select somebody else's skin, like Zumavoid. There we go. We have Zumavoid's skin. And I would go into the commands like, say, stalking. I want you to always look at the player. And I would have a camera mod do such and forth. Cam clear. P. And then P here. And then I would just start the camera. Cam start. And then I would have the character just constantly looking at the person of interest. So that is how I got some of the acting out of some of these NPCs. Or I would do the other thing, which would be just change up my own skin. I don't have somebody else's skin on right now, but I would occasionally just put on somebody else's skin and act out everything myself. And that's how I did my entire cast. My entire crew was literally just these NPCs and myself. It got a little bit complicated here and there, but especially when I would want them to run from point A to point B. If I wanted them to run from point A to point B, I would have to use this NPC pather, and I would click on the person, click on the square I would want them to be at, and click on the square where I want them to go. And that would be their path, and I would have to put something into their command, but I only used that a couple times when an entire group of these guys needed to run in a certain direction. But another great tool from the NPC mod was the cloner. This guy, if I had one of those NPCs all set up for me, say he had 1,000 health and he was doing part of a fight scene, I would right click on the ground and I would go generic B, and it'd be all set up with a stone sword, and he'd be already set up to look straight at me, or it'd be like go the other puka, and he'd be set up with a wooden sword. So it's great for copying and pasting. So once I had a character all set up to go, I would just copy, paste it. Heck of a lot of a time saver. There's other things in here that I definitely used, especially during the fight scene and the when they were all trapped into the nightmare realm, as I called it. I would use this what is it called? Mob spawner. I would use the mob spawner. Basically, you can just right click down and you can bring in any mob you want. Spawn cow. I've spawned a cow. Or I could go in here, click on cow, and create mob spawner. And the mob spawner will be created. There! I have a cow spawner. Da 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 da! But I use this mainly for spawning in enemies, but that's the gist of what I did with the NPC mod. Sunset. Well, everybody, I believe that's all the mods and everything that I've put into this movie. There was a bunch of artistic stuff that I also put into this movie, but to be honest, that's going to be a completely different movie. I hope that all this technical jargon made it through, and that you might be able to use any of this info for yourself. So, until the next time I make this movie, everyone, bye. Bye. Say bye, Puka. Bye, Puka. Say bye. No, you don't want to say goodbye? Maybe Cow say goodbye. No, he just says moo. Thank you, everybody, for watching this making of HermitCraft Dream No More. Hopefully this answers questions on how I created this movie, but hopefully beyond that, you've gotten some information on how you could possibly make your own machinimas. If you have any other questions on how I made this movie or how I plan on making other movies, just give me a comment in this video or even private message me and I will be glad to answer you. So, until next time, y'all, this is the Puka, signing out.